chill type beat. Using Native Instruments, Analog Dreams, Cloud Supply, Sub Factory, MPC 1 and MPC 3. The beat you hear in the background, that's the beat we're going to make. You know, I'm grabbing one of the drum kits out of the Magnetic Coast. You know, that's one of my expansions you could grab. Going to grab a chord progression and we're going to get busy, man. Doing it on the MPC 1 just to show you, you know, how to work it out, how to work through it, you know. We got our drum kit loaded. We're at 84.5. 84.5. That's our BPMs. We're at a 2-bar loop right now. And that's okay. We could play it out and get it right get it to a 4-bar, you know what I mean? We could start right now, just lay down our clap or our snare. That's the easiest way to go about it. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. The O.T.G for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today I got my MPC 1. Got a MPC 3.14 software. You know, I got a drum kit loaded up from the Magnetic Coast from my expansion pack that you could get down below in the description. It comes with the Stimmy pack, or you could buy it alone. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make a beat, bro. We're going to not use any loops. Not use any things like that. You know, we'll definitely get into some sampling. You know, I could show you how to sample. But one of the things you got to just kind of get used to is just making stuff from scratch. You don't always have to be dependent on loop sets and certain things when you can kind of do it yourself. You know, we're going to go through some of the little frustrations of working out the arrangement window and editing that way. It's all good. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow me on all social media at 365 O.T.G. Make sure you keep commenting. You know, you guys give me great ideas. Believe one of the next videos will be utilizing one Native Instruments plugin multiple times to make one beat. That's definitely the next video, you know, so stay tuned for that. Right now, we got the Analog Dreams loaded up. You know, it doesn't run too much slower on the MPC 1. It feels like when you first go to load them up, when you load your first plugin, it's a little bit slow. But after you get that first plugin loaded, everything starts to move a little snappier and faster. You know, I have the Live 2 and I have the Akai Force, and I don't really see the Live 2's a little bit faster on the load, but you know, it's noticeable, but if you've never used it, you would never know that it exists. And I'm okay with the load times on my MPC 1. Again, I hear a lot of MPC 1 slander out here. I think it's the best of these new generation MPCs. You know, so I don't care about the price point. And if you got an MPC 1, be proud, bro. Be proud of it. Price point doesn't always matter. Doesn't define how good something is. So right now we're in the progressions, by the way. You know, I have some favorites that I like to use a lot. But, you know, for the most part, I just go through and try to find something. We talk about that a lot. You know, there's certain sounds that you know for sure you could always kind of go to and get started. And, you know, there's sounds that work together that, you know, that complement each other well. Those are things you could take note of. Great ear training techniques when listening to music on the radio or your favorite beats. What sounds do they use together? Pianos and strings, 808s and claps, you know, what goes together that you hear all the time. Sometimes it takes some time to find the actual progression. You know, I wanted to actually use this actual beat right here just to show you, you know, sometimes it might take you a while just to get through it. Other days, you know, I hop right in and we're going. But today with the sound that I'm using, there's a couple things. It could be the sound. Could be the sound that I'm using in the progressions. But, you know, if you're subscribed to my channel and you kind of understand the workflow, you should be able, in my mind, you should be able to hear what you like. Doesn't matter the sound. You know, you could go and change the sound after you choose the progression and it sounds even better. So a lot of times I like to get a sound that doesn't cause ear fatigue, doesn't tire me out, and then I could go and find my actual progression that I want to use and maybe go back later and change the sound afterwards. But you can see right now I'm recording this in at a 2-bar loop because it's just a simple, the way this sounds, it could loop over and over again. I'm gonna go double check and make sure everything is on the grid. We're lined up. On long press, go ahead and name it. This just helps us as we get further along. So now I'm going to go ahead and create another plugin. And remember to keep track. So we got one drum kit, and now we have one plugin, and now we're on our second plugin. This is Sub Factory. And if you don't have Sub Factory, you could definitely use another 808 plugin, or use the same thought process for making your bass. So right now I went and switched over to notes. Remember, when you switch your pad perform over to progressions, you gotta always go back and switch it back to notes. If not, everything that you'll play will be a progression, and dependent on the polyphony, meaning how many notes it can play at the same time, it'll be playing a progression. If you notice, if you do that on a mono synth or some type of synth, it's going to choose the root note or whatever note comes first as the note that it plays. Just a FYI on how that works, you know what I mean? So that's also something you can do. You can go and change the polyphony, and you can kind of cut out the voices and change how many keys are playing by taking out polyphony or voice count, you know? So right now what I did is I moved my Q link over to the 4th spot, and I turned my 4th knob, which turned up the level. And now we're going to look for a bass line. Sometimes you gotta take your time, man. You really gotta take your time. Like, I'm gonna drop this in. I don't really know what I want it to be, so I'm going to be okay that it's off or it's a little sloppy, because I'm still trying to make my mind up. You know, we're doing this off the top of the head. We didn't know this was the route that we were going when we started. Dig? So what we're trying to do is just follow the feeling. You know, trust yourself. You listen to a lot of music, so you can hear things that you feel like should be there and things that shouldn't be there. You know, so a couple of these notes are off. And you could try to go and blindly move them to the grid. But if you do that, you could generally put them off because some things are off. So see how I moved those blindly to the grid? I just start putting them on point, and that didn't work. So I had to go back and undo to get them back where they were. And one of the methods I could go through is just go one by one and hear what's off and try and fix it. You know, but the whole time I'm still deciding because we just played that in there. What I do know is some of this bass line I do like. There's a riff in here that I do like. This part right here I don't like. But at the same time, I'm still trying to figure out what I got going on with the timing. Because if you look hard enough, you can see some of the notes aren't on the grid, but they're right on time. If you're looking for the answer to why, it's because I have that hi-hat shaker loop that's playing, and it's probably off time a little bit, and so it's creating where some of these notes could fall in pockets. They sound good in pockets. That's probably the culprit, because everything else is quantized. You dig what I'm saying? So where are we getting these pockets where these kick notes can fall in a pocket is probably from the loop. There was a loop that I played that was loaded on the drum kit. Alright, so I transpose those notes up. You know, it's still taking the time to see if we like it. You know, there's times I sit back and I listen to things just like you. You know, it's always good going there, mess around, but I don't like it, so I'm going to clear it. Press the pencil on the arrangement tab, clear it. I'm going to play it again. Just keep doing it till I like it and get it right. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you stay to the end. Make sure you check out the O.T.G Stimmy Pack. You know, you can get the progressions, 15 gigabytes of expansions, all the drums, a lot of the stuff that I use in these videos, the Smackers kit, all kinds of things for a great price, lifetime updates. It's how you can support this channel. You can get the MPC Masterclass, which will come updated with MPC3 videos, screen by screen. That's my goal. I want to set a folder aside and do screen by screen for you. And just break it down in my terms, how to use it and what's important. You know, definitely going to get into some LFO and modulation. This video, we've gotten into a lot of utilizing the arrangement window. Right now we have 2 plugins, 1 drum kit. We're on our 3rd plugin right now. We're running smooth. We have no issues. 100% standalone. I want to load up Cloud Supply. I want to have some kind of plus. So when I'm choosing my sound, I like to have a sound that plays all the time. So all the time loop or all the time sound where the artist or musician can kind of set their hat on that, because that's constant, the foundation. You know, I like to have a good steady drum, a nice drum pattern that I feel like I can create movement with the mutes. You know, then I like to add. I always like to bring in some kind of plucks or some kind of like one-shot sounds that could come in and help build the beat up to be a complete beat. You know, there's a thing where people ask me a lot about how many sounds is too many sounds. I think that's something that you utilize with working with your ear and listening to the radio, and whatever your favorite songs are, start to practice with counting how many instruments you hear. You know, try to visualize how many tracks that was. And then, you know, try to impose those same limits on you. For me, I don't ever like to go over 16. There's some rare cases that I do, but most of the stuff I make on the MPC, I never get over 16 tracks. And so I never really get that deep with that. I feel like I can create and make everything that I like and get it full enough with the effects. Now, one of the things I want you guys to remember is that if you're making music or beats for artists, then it's always missing something because the voice is the main instrument. And if there is no voice, then there is no main instrument. You're going to always feel like there's something missing or lacking. So if you've encountered that feeling before, that's what that is. You know, don't overpopulate your beats looking for sounds to try to fill that space. That space is there for a reason. Alright, we did a couple edits right there. You can see the arrangement window runs really smooth. I call these dots. Now we're loading our fourth plugin right now. And this is just going to be like a synth or a string or something to add on top to give it a little bit of additional movement. This is how I choose my sounds, you know. I come from the idea that you can get it done with 4 tracks most of the time. The style of music that I like, hip hop, R&B, you know, it's based on live instruments, and so you never really get over to 10 or 15 instruments. If you were to get that far into it, then you probably have like a string section all kind of playing and doing one thing, or a horn section, you know. So think about that when you're creating. You know, take your time. See, now that we got that together, some beats you don't have to go super in depth. Like this beat, I'm just going to do some track mutes. I'm not even going to have to do a major mix. You know, it sounds pretty good. We're going to double it out. We're just going to do 32 bars. You know, we're going to hit our automation. We mute our drums. And we in there. Look at the clock. We're 18 minutes in. You know, we got a good 4 tracks and some drums. And again, it just goes to show you that you could get it done with the MPC. You can see we don't have memory problems. We got 2 native instruments plugins loaded up, Sub Factory and Jura. And we have no issues. We're running smooth. We're laying automation right now. You know, we got our drum pack, our drum kit. It's just a random drum kit loaded up from the Magnetic Coast. Again, if you get the STEMI pack, you're going to have to hook up your MPC to the computer, switch to controller mode, open up MPC2 software, drag and drop all 45 of those expansions. 15 gigabytes, drag them and drop in there, and then export to your MPC. Then you can utilize the same drums that I utilized in most of these videos for the last 2 years. You can grab those grab those progressions. That's just some random progression that I grabbed. And, you know, from there we stayed in key. We built around it. We make sure we got drums, we got a main sound, and then we got our bass. So essentially, we got our main 3 tracks, 4 tracks. Only thing we're missing is vocals. And you can see how it be. You could just chill and really be laid back, and you could still make something that you could play somewhere. You get what I mean? And you still creating. Time on the clock, and guess what? Guess what, bro? That's another one. Big O.T.G.